Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnana-anjana-salakaya Chakshur-unmritam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to our ISKCON official YouTube channel. Today I am going to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto 11th chapter, text 4 onwards. Here, the small children present with the Lord, what fortunate they have. So they say, Bala uchu aniniti tirjagatam urukhalam vikasada madhyagena purusha api achapmayi. That means that then all the coward boys said, it is Krishna who has done this. When he was in between the two trees, the mortar fell crosswise. Krishna dragged the mortar and the two trees fell down. After that, two beautiful men came out of the trees. We have seen this with our own eyes. So in the purport of Prabhupada Maharaj, the Krishna's playmates wanted to inform Krishna's father of the exact situation by explaining that not only did the trees break, but out of the broken trees came two beautiful men. All these things happened, they said. We have seen them with our own eyes. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Sarartha Santika says, the coward boys said, Krishna went between the trees and the mortar fell crosswise. The elders didn't believe their story, so the boys repeated, we saw two men emerge from the trees. So in the Brihad Vaishnava Dasana, Shiva Sanatana Goswami said, they said it was done by him. In the next verse, that is verse 5, it is said, that nate tat uktam jagru na ghatete tasya tat bharasyo utpatanam tarvoho kechi sandigdha chetasa. That because of intense paternal affection, the coward men headed by Nanda couldn't believe that Krishna would have uprooted the trees in such a wonderful way, and therefore they could not put their faith in the words of the boys. Some of the men, however, were in doubt. Since Krishna was predicted to equal Narayana, they thought it might be that. So, Prabhupada Maharaj in the purport says that one view was that it was impossible for a small boy like this to have done such things as pulling down the trees. But there were doubts because Krishna had been predicted to equal Narayana. Therefore, the coward men were in a dilemma. Which Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in Sarartha Chantika, Nanda and the coward men didn't believe the children because their feelings for Krishna would not allow them to think that Krishna was omnipotent. Some of the men, however, remembered Gargamuni's prediction about Krishna being equal to Narayana. Though full of affection for Krishna, they became uncertain and thought maybe he did it. So, Shiva Sanatana Goswami in Brihad Vaishnava Dasani says that Nanda and others couldn't believe the children's words because their hearts were overcome with great affection. The priests and others were doubtful. Though sometimes he displayed his powers to them, their love didn't decrease, but rather by the event it increased. When fire in the kind of forest increased, rain couldn't extinguish it. Rather, the shower increased the flames like adding ghee. They never asked him directly to relieve their doubts because they considered him a small child out of their affection, or they couldn't ask because they were bewildered by their affection, or they couldn't believe his words since he was a child. In this way, the next verse says, verse 6, Urukhalam vikasantam damna baddham swam atmajam vilokya nanda prasad badano bimum muchaha. That means when Nanda Maharaj saw his son bound with ropes to the wooden mortar and dragging it, he smiled and released Krishna from his bonds. The purport of Prabhupada Maharaj says that Nanda Maharaj was surprised that Yasudha, Krishna's mother, could have bound her beloved child in such a way. Krishna was exchanging love with her. How then could she have been so cruel, so to blind him to the wooden mortar? Nanda Maharaj understood this exchange of love and therefore he smiled and released Krishna. In other words, as Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, binds a living entity in fruitive activities, he binds Mother Jasoda and Nanda Maharaj in parental affection. This is his pastime. Vishnu Jacob Thakur says that glancing repeatedly over all of Krishna's limbs, Nanda Maharaj smiled as he thought, your mother, whose lap you prefer to mine, has bound you up because of some small offense. Therefore, how can I release you? As you bind the living entities with illusion, you bind your mother and father with prema. So, Jiva Goswami in Raghu Vaishnava Darshan says that this verse shows Nanda's strong Vatsalya. The description of Krishna or the Mota is repeated in this verse to indicate that Nanda saw the sweetness of the pastime. It awakened his prema when he considered that his child was young but healthy. In spite of pulling the motor, he examined his son in all his limbs. He smiled in order to make the frightened, bound-up child happy. He had a smile on his face because internally he was angry at Jasoda on seeing his son tied up and feared the fall of the two trees. Another person has Prahasad Badanam. He saw the smiling face of his son. Vishnu Purana says, Navo Gatarpa Dantansu. That means he saw the child who smiled, showing his tiny new white teeth. Krishna was afraid of his father, but on seeing Nanda smile, the child also smiled in order to have his father understand that he was not fearful. He was not fearful. And thus satisfy him. His father freed him from the rope tied to the motor. The first of all, he untied the rope, binding him to the motor. The word ha expresses joy. Just as Jasoda was able to tie up Krishna, Nanda was able to untie him. Thus, Nanda had similar plema. Nanda didn't notice the huge quantity of rope used for tying Krishna because of his absorption in trema. And you see, in the next verse, we'll see that there are so many purports in this verse. So in verse 7 to 9, these three verses describe how Krishna's submissiveness to his servants. In verse 11, in verse 7 it is said, Gopibhi stovitan rutyat Bhagavan Bharavat Kvachit Udgayati Kvachin Mogdhar Tadvaso Daru Jantravat. That means the gopis would say, if you dance, my dear Krishna, then I shall give you half a sweetmeat. By saying these words or by clapping their hands, all the gopis encouraged Krishna in different ways. At such times, although he was the supremely powerful personality of Godhead, he would smile and dance according to their desire, as if he were a wooden doll in their hands. Sometimes he would sing very loudly as their bidding. In this way, Krishna came completely under the control of the gopis. In the purport, Shiva Vishwanath Thakur says in Sarartha Dasantika that who can describe the good fortune of Krishna's father and mother? Though Krishna is the controller of Brahma, Shiva and millions of demigods, he is controlled at every step by the inhabitants of Braja. This is described in 3.5 verses. The gopis would say, if you dance, my dear Krishna, I will give you a sweet. Induced Stabito, sorry, by the gopis, Krishna sometimes danced just like a human child. Overwhelmed by the gopis' sweet love, Krishna can conceal his omnipotence and smile and dance just like a wooden doll in their hands. So, Jiva Goswami in Raghu Vaishnava Darshan says that not only was he controlled by the prema of his mother and father having the highest affection for him, other gopis also controlled him. Previous events are described in 2 verses. These gopis were generally elderly. Though Bhagavan was full of all powers, he was like other boys. He forgot his own powers by being absorbed in his childhood pastimes, controlled by the rasa of its prema. Instead of Balavat, sometimes Balaka is seen. Then it means that he acted according to his childhood pastimes. Sometimes he sang, sometimes he danced, sometimes he appeared ignorant. As a small child, he knew dancing a little. sometimes showing himself to be ignorant, or in dancing he was charming. He danced because he was controlled by them like a puppet in instincts. In this way, we will be hearing about the childhood pastimes of the Lord in this chapter 11. So thank you very much for listening to this lecture, and please don't forget to subscribe, share, and like our channel, and get the blessings of the Lord. Hare Krishna.